This boy was raised by 4 ghosts. Every day, the ghosts would tell him all kinds of stories and play games with him. Since only the boy could see them, his parents always thought there must be something wrong with him. After all, he'd often sit there giggling at the wall for no reason. Time flew by, and soon Thomas was old enough to start school. Thanks to the constant tutoring from the 4 ghosts, he knew far more than other kids his age. Whenever the teacher asked a question, Thomas was always the first to answer. Smart as Thomas was, he quickly realized that he was different from the other kids.
How come I'm the only kid I know who has invisible friends like you guys?
That's a very good question, Thomas. The Lord must have had some idea.
This all starts on a night 10 years ago. Thomas's parents were rushing to the hospital for his birth when they collided with an oncoming bus. Luckily, his parents escaped unscathed, but the same couldn't be said for the 5 people on the bus. Strangely, the driver's soul went straight to heaven, while the other 4 passengers were pulled by an unknown force and ended up stuck by Thomas's side. They can't go more than 5 meters away from Thomas. If they try, some mysterious power drags them right back. So, like it or not, the 4 ghosts had no choice but to babysit Thomas. Over time, Thomas got pretty fond of them, especially when it came to dancing together. But from an outsider's perspective, people who couldn't see the ghosts, it just looked like Thomas was dancing with thin air, making it hard not to question his sanity. Even though being stuck with Thomas left the 4 ghosts feeling frustrated most of the time, they occasionally used him to get things done for themselves. Take Milo, one of the ghosts, for example. He had a thing for horse racing, but as a child, the staff wouldn't let him go in. Luckily, Milo was quick on his feet. He told Thomas to lie and say he was going in to find his dad. If he didn't, his dad would give him a lesson when he got home. The staff, feeling sorry for him, finally allowed him to go in. And so, Thomas and his 4 ghosts spent a happy time at the racetrack. However, this little lie ended up causing Thomas big trouble. The next day, someone from the Child Protective Services showed up at their door. They said they had received a report that Thomas's father had forced him to go to the racetrack. The father denied ever participating in horse racing, let alone forcing his son to go. Given Thomas's odd behavior, the couple found it difficult to explain. That night, they had a heated argument. The father suggested sending Thomas to a mental hospital, but the mother disagreed. She believed their son just had a vivid imagination. However, the father remained firm on his decision to get Thomas treated. Listening to the entire conversation, the ghosts realized they had been affecting Thomas's life. Not wanting him to be sent to a mental hospital, they all agreed to stop appearing in front of him. They then woke up Thomas.
It's time for you to be like other kids. Just be with your mommy and your daddy.
Thomas, we feel the time has come for us to go away.
What? No!
Yeah, buddy. It'll be a lot better for you. Honest.
We don't want to, Thomas, but we have to go.
Although Thomas pleaded desperately, the 4 ghosts, resolute in their decision, gradually disappeared from his sight. This event caused great emotional harm to young Thomas. He became distant, unwilling to form close bonds with others, afraid they would eventually leave him too. On the upside, his coldness and detachment helped him rise to the position of vice president at a large corporation. However, his love life, on the other hand, was a mess. He was reluctant to take his relationship with his longtime girlfriend, Anna, to the next level, especially when she asked him to meet her parents. Thomas was eager to decline the invitation. What he didn't know was that, all these years, the 4 ghosts hadn't left. They had silently remained by his side, watching him grow, careful not to disturb his life by appearing to him. At that moment, the 4 ghosts were arguing among themselves about Thomas's hesitation regarding his relationship. Suddenly, a green bus passed through the wall and came to a steady stop right in front of them. It was a bus from heaven, specifically sent to take the 4 ghosts for reincarnation. Penny recognized the driver immediately. It was the same bus driver from that fateful day. Back then, the driver's distraction from ogling a beautiful woman had caused the tragic accident. Seeing everyone ready to take a swing at him, the driver quickly apologized, saying he had already paid for his mistakes. His punishment was to drive for heaven for 500 years, with the duty of guiding souls to reincarnation. He explained that the 4 ghosts could have used Thomas's body to fulfill their last wishes, but because no angel had come down to explain this to them, they had wasted several decades on Earth. To make up for it, the driver offered them a few more days to use Thomas to complete their unfinished business. But they had to hurry, as a new baby was about to be born. Without wasting any time, the 4 ghosts eagerly reappeared in front of Thomas. However, their sudden appearance scared the hell out of Thomas.
Contact.
Hope he doesn't take this badly.
When Thomas woke up in the hospital and saw everyone again, he thought they were just his hallucinations. He quickly went to the hospital's psychiatry department, hoping to have the doctor check his mind. But on the way there, he encountered a special patient who surprisingly greeted the ghosts.
Hi, guys. He's a lucky one. Yeah, he gets visitors. I never get visitors.
Everyone was stunned by this scene, especially Thomas. He cautiously asked the woman if she could see people beside him.
No. Nobody. Besides those four.
Then, she accurately described the appearance and clothing of the four ghosts. This forced Thomas to believe that everything before him was real, not just a hallucination. The ghosts told Thomas that they needed his help to fulfill their last wishes. But Thomas still held a grudge over their sudden departure and was unwilling to help. However, the ghosts didn't give up. They kept nagging him in his ear.
Excuse me, could you not speak for like an hour? I have a life to lead here.
Ah, is that what you call it?
Do me a favor. Fade out again.
To make Thomas give in, the ghosts took turns possessing him, causing him to make a fool of himself at a company meeting. After much struggle, Thomas finally managed to force the ghosts out of his body, determined not to be tormented by them anymore, because of an angel's mistake, for ghosts were stuck in the human world for 20 years. Now, they finally have the chance to reincarnate, and if they have any unfinished business, they can use Thomas, the boy they once helped raise as ghosts, to fulfill their last wishes. At first, Thomas wasn't on board, but after some ghostly persuasion, he reluctantly agreed. The first to step up was Milo. When he was alive, he was a thief with principles, only stealing from the rich. But one day, he broke his own rule. A wealthy man hired Milo to steal a rare stamp collection, but after the job was done, Milo realized the stamps belonged to a 10-year-old boy, passed down through his family. Milo was filled with guilt, and just as he was planning to steal the stamps back, he got into a car accident. This unfinished business haunted him even after death. Now, given the second chance, he wanted to return the stamps. Thomas found the wealthy man's house, and after some planning, Milo possessed Thomas to sneak in and grab the stamps. Thomas managed to escape with them, but he parked his car in front of a fire hydrant and ended up with a $2,600 ticket. After paying the fine at the police station, the day had turned to night. That's when Thomas remembered he had dinner plans with his girlfriend's parents. He rushed over, but by the time he arrived, her parents had already left. His girlfriend, Anna, was furious but forgave him after he promised not to mess up again. The next day, Thomas tracked down the now-grown boy who had lost the stamps. When the man saw them, he was in total shock. Those stamps had appreciated to $100,000. With this, Milo's wish was finally fulfilled. Milo wanted to stick around to help his ghostly friends, but just then, the bus to the afterlife arrived. The driver said a pregnant woman was in labor, and they urgently needed a soul for reincarnation. Milo had no choice but to say a heartfelt goodbye before being whisked away. Thomas, feeling proud of doing a good deed, turned his attention to Penny, the next ghost in line. Penny's wish was simple. She wanted to see her 2 daughters and son one last time, but when they visited her old rental house, it had long been abandoned. Finding her children seemed like an impossible task. Just as Penny was about to give up, she spotted a few cats.
Could she still be alive?
They headed to Penny's old friend's house and got some good news. Penny's 2 daughters were doing great. Both had happy families of their own. But her youngest son's whereabouts were still a mystery. He had been through several foster families, and no one knew where he was now. Determined to find him, Thomas visited a local adoption center to dig into the records. But the staff told him that adoption records from the 1950s were strictly confidential. Not even the kids themselves could access them. With no leads for now, Penny's wish had to wait. Thomas decided to help the next ghost, Harrison. Harrison's dream was to become a singer, and he had a beautiful voice. But there was just one problem. He was painfully shy. Every time he got close to performing on stage, he'd panic and back out. To help him, Thomas snuck into a theater one night. When Harrison froze in fear again, Thomas decided to take a big risk. He walked onto the stage himself and announced to the audience that he'd be singing a song. Then, with no warning, Harrison was pushed into Thomas's body to take over. But instead of performing, Harrison chickened out and fled in a panic again.
You better not do this, Harrison. Listen, this is it.
Who came up with this ridiculous concept anyway? Resolve your entire life in one bold stroke? What if I fail? And I will. I'll fail. I'm telling you, I always fail. And my whole life will be a complete failure.
No offense, Harrison, but you died a failure because you never tried.
Thomas's words gave Harrison the courage he needed. Harrison once again entered Thomas's body, and in that moment, it felt like he was alive again. On stage, he sang his heart out, bold and confident. When the performance ended, the audience erupted into thunderous applause. Even the reincarnation bus driver, who showed up right after, couldn't stop praising his performance. Feeling completely fulfilled, Harrison said his goodbyes and left. But Thomas? He got arrested for disturbing the performance. At the station, the officer in charge of his case turned out to be the same one who handled his traffic ticket earlier. Luckily, the officer wasn't too hard on him, just made him pay bail before letting him go. As Thomas walked out of the station, guess who he ran into? His girlfriend. Turns out she'd been at the theater earlier too. She had planned for Thomas to meet her parents that evening, but Thomas told her he was working late at the office. Since he couldn't come, Anna went to the theater with her parents instead. And then, she saw him on stage, performing like he had nothing else to do. He wasn't working late at all. This time, Anna was furious. She didn't want to hear any excuses and drove off without giving Thomas a chance to explain. Thomas was feeling pretty down, but his bad luck wasn't over yet. While backing out of the parking lot, he accidentally hit another car. When he got out to check, guess who the car owner was? That same police officer who had been handling all his cases. At that moment, Thomas was ready to lose it. But then, something unexpected happened. The officer started singing a lullaby to comfort his daughter, and the melody caught Penny's attention. The lullaby the officer was singing was the very same one Penny used to sing to her own kids when they were little. Turns out, this officer was actually Penny's youngest son. With Thomas's help, Penny shared all sorts of memories from when her son was a child. Finally, she took control of Thomas's body and gave her son a big heartfelt hug. Even though she still hadn't seen her daughter, the reincarnation bus was already on its way. Penny had no choice but to ask Thomas for one last favor, to make sure her son reunited with his two sisters.
I love you guys!
And just like that, Penny said her final goodbyes, knowing her family would be whole again. And just like that, only Julia remained. Julia had been a waitress in her past life and had a boyfriend she'd been with for 7 years. Their relationship was strong, full of love and trust. But then one day, her boyfriend proposed to her, and Julia froze. She couldn't bring herself to say yes.
Please, if you love me, can't you wait just a little while longer until...
No, Julia, I've waited for years. And I guess I got my answer.
Her hesitation had cost her everything. Julia's boyfriend left her. And by the time she realized what she had done and decided to make things right, it was too late. She got into a car accident on her way to fix things. Now, her greatest wish is to see him one last time. So, Julia used Thomas's body to write a letter to her boyfriend, hoping it would clear up the misunderstandings between them. But when they arrived at his house, a stranger opened the door. He explained that he had bought the house 7 years ago, and the original owner, Julia's boyfriend, had passed away shortly after. This news crushed Julia. She blamed herself for her hesitation, for not accepting his proposal sooner. Now, there was no way to fix things. As the rain began to fall, mirroring Julia's sorrow, Thomas turned to the bus driver, angry at how his mistake had led to the accident that changed their lives. But before he could say more, Julia stopped him.
Thomas. It's you.
The sky cleared up, matching the change in Julia's heart. She turned to Thomas and told him that she had finally understood her true wish. Just then, Julia was astonished to find that she could actually touch physical objects now. Felt like a gift from above. She gave Thomas a warm hug, then boarded the bus, leaving this place behind. Meanwhile, Thomas, no longer afraid of intimacy, found Anna. With a newfound confidence, he used the key to his house as an engagement gift and made a heartfelt proposal.
I need you. And I love you.
Finally, the two of them embraced, happy at last. And with that, the film came to an end. Heart and Souls, released in 1993, may seem a bit cliché by today's standards, but I really love how the film uses the 4 ghosts to explore life's regrets. Milo represents the regret over past mistakes. Harrison symbolizes the fear of weakness. Penny reflects the longing for what's lost. Julia embodies the regret of missed opportunities. It's just like the challenges everyone faces in life. No one knows if there's a chance to make things right after we're gone. All we can do is cherish the time we have now. Feel free to share your thoughts on the movie in the comments, and I'll see you in the next movie.